OK, we're going to start with some breaking news, actually, because we're just hearing that Chelsea are considering a late move for Aston Villa goalkeeper Emiliano Martínez. There were plenty of pundits saying that they felt that they needed a new goalkeeper if they're going to challenge Arsenal for the title this season after the weekend performance. The Argentina international representatives have offered Martínez to Chelsea. Chelsea's current number one, Robert Sánchez, as I said, come under plenty of criticism, didn't he, in Monday's victory over Fulham, as he made an error in one of those goals. Now, Martínez will be needed to find a new club after Villa signed Zucchi from Parma for nearly £30 million. He was, of course, the subject of interest from Juventus, but they chose to sign Vicario from Spurs. So interesting news coming out of Chelsea at the moment. They are interested in a late move for Aston Villa, Emiliano Martínez.
Let's get the Chelsea perspective now. We can join James Savundra. James, very good afternoon to you as ever. You're going to be speaking to Xabi Alonso very shortly. Are Chelsea expecting then a bid from Man City imminently?
Well, I think Chelsea are well aware of the interest, Hannah. There has been interest from Man City throughout this transfer window, but as of yet, Chelsea haven't received any bids all summer from any interested clubs in Enzo Fernandez. Now, we know earlier this month, nearly 2 weeks ago, Chelsea did set a deadline. It was Friday 5 p.m. a couple of weeks ago for clubs to submit a deal and a bid worth up to £120 million. That was the asking price for Enzo Fernandez a couple of weeks ago. And Man City ignored that deadline, but we do know they do retain an interest in signing the player. In terms of what we know about Enzo Fernandez over the course of the last few weeks, that deadline doesn't actually seem as fixed as it was set by Chelsea a couple of weeks ago, because when I spoke to Xabi Alonso last week, he offered no guarantees when it came to Enzo Fernandez. He simply said the player was working hard, £107 million signing from Benfica 3 years ago, but it was Reece James alongside Romeo Lavia in the centre of midfield. We know Enzo Fernandez did come on the pitch. He got booed by the Fulham supporters. There were plenty of cheers, though, when it came to the Chelsea supporters, because there was a mixed reception when he came off the bench against Real Sociedad at Stamford Bridge in their final pre-season friendly around 10 days ago. And there have been no guarantees that Enzo Fernandez does remain a Chelsea player beyond transfer deadline day. However, it remains to be seen what sort of negotiations Chelsea would be willing to go into with Manchester City, because there clearly is a strained relationship between the two football clubs. Chelsea's season was completely derailed by what happened with Enzo Fernandez leaving around Christmas time, and Man City had to pay Chelsea £17 million in compensation because of their role in that. So wait to see what Chelsea's asking price would be. We know it was previously £120 million. What are Man City willing to pay for a player who seems to be Enzo Maresca's top target in this transfer window? We know City should have money to spend now because they've sold a record number of players in this transfer window. And we know Enzo Maresca loves Enzo Fernandez. But I'll throw this to you, Jeff. If Chelsea were to let Enzo Fernandez leave in this transfer window, then are they well stocked? They've already signed the likes of Valentin Barco, Jordan Henderson in this transfer window. Or do you think if they are going to get big money for Enzo Fernandez, then they could go after a player like Alex Scott, who we know Bournemouth don't want to sell, but Chelsea might have been in a situation where they can throw a bit more money at them?
Yeah, it's difficult. You know, if you read between the lines, it looks like Enzo wants to go and work with his former manager. And they do have backup in the midfield. They looked really, really good on Monday night without him. So, you know, it is a strong possibility that if they get offered the right money, they'll take it.
James, interested to know as well, if Fernandez was to leave, who could Chelsea look to bring in as a replacement with not long left in this transfer window?
Well, Hannah, we know Alex Scott is a player that Chelsea admire, but as I've just mentioned, Bournemouth don't want to sell him in this transfer window. It's the first season in charge for Marco Rosa, the new Bournemouth head coach. They've got European football to look forward to as well. We know as of yet he's not signed a new contract at the club, but they don't want to sell him in this transfer window. Chelsea look relatively well stocked when it comes to midfield options they have, but Enzo Fernandez will clearly leave a void, because last season was his best season in a Chelsea shirt. Despite all the disruptions, he scored more Premier League goals than he's managed in his time in the Premier League before, and he's got the option, because of his ability to play in a number of different positions. He can play in the two alongside a player like Moises Caicedo, or he could play slightly further forward. But as we saw on Monday night with the new front two supporting João Pedro, perhaps there aren't going to be many options for Enzo Fernandez to play slightly further forward, because £117 million was spent on Morgan Rogers, who had a really impressive debut, and Cole Palmer looks like he is set to return to his very best this season as well. So it could be a situation where Chelsea feel like they could let Enzo Fernandez leave and not replace him, but knowing the way Chelsea operate, there will be players they have on a list, and it's whether or not they go for those options if they receive what they deem to be a satisfactory option for a player who they bought for £107 million 3 years ago.
It's a lot of money, isn't it? Just in terms of other Chelsea business, we know Liam Delap is on his way to Nottingham Forest. What other outgoings are expected at Chelsea before the deadline?
Well, Chelsea have around 40 senior first-team players. We know some have been training away from the main group because it's just been too disrupted having that many players part of first-team training. And some breaking news to bring you in the last few moments. Axel Disasi, who hasn't even been given a shirt number at Chelsea, listen, he has moved on loan to Crystal Palace. It's a straight loan from Chelsea to Crystal Palace. The two clubs have a brilliant working relationship. We know Maxence Lacroix went the other way. He went to Chelsea from Crystal Palace earlier on this season. So Axel Disasi has joined Crystal Palace in a straight loan. But in terms of two potentially eye-catching moves we could see over the course of the next few days, we know Nottingham Forest have agreed a deal with Chelsea to sign Liam Delap. Now, the deal could be worth up to £50 million. That was Chelsea's asking price in this transfer window, and that is what that deal could reach if the add-ons are all achieved. We know that Liam Delap was signed by Chelsea for £30 million last summer, so a really tidy profit Chelsea are making on a player who scored just 2 goals for them in his only season at Chelsea. And at the same time, we know Unai Emery would love to work with Nicholas Jackson again. We know Chelsea have an asking price of around £65 million. He's a player who's not been training with the main group over the course of the first couple of weeks of this season. Aston Villa remain in talks with Chelsea. Again, a really good working relationship between Aston Villa and Chelsea. We know Alejandro Garnacho has already gone to Aston Villa. Morgan Rogers has come to Chelsea. This is a deal that looks very likely if Ollie Watkins departs from Aston Villa, which we are expecting. The likes of Mykhailo Mudryk, he's expected to move on loan as well. Doesn't look like it's going to be Leeds at this moment in time. And also Tosin, another player who is seemingly available for transfer in this window. These are the sort of questions we'll ask Xabi Alonso at his pre-match press conference, because Chelsea have a big game to look forward to tomorrow in the Carabao Cup, the second round against Luton at Stamford Bridge. And we'll hear from Xabi Alonso at that pre-match press conference around 1:30 p.m.
Yeah, looking forward to it. There's definitely plenty to discuss. James, thank you very much for the moment. Jeff, let's turn our attention back to Enzo Fernandez then. As James was saying, he seems quite keen to work with his former manager, Enzo Maresca. Can you see him joining Manchester City?
I can, yeah. Mainly because I watched Monday night and they were really, really good. And then you talk about Casado probably coming back in. So he didn't look too happy. Maybe it was the fans booing him. But, you know, the potential of going for a big move to Man City, working with a manager he's obviously comfortable with. You know, James said it there. He had his best season at Chelsea last year under that manager, scoring goals. So, and then I think it's a plus as well. He's probably going to go into if he gets the move, but he'd probably go into a midfield with 2 younger players who he could help grow them as prospects for the club.
And that's really important, isn't it? That balance. If you've got young midfielders, you want a more experienced head there as well.
And they just need numbers. It feels like they still need numbers in that central midfield position, because we saw at the weekend, didn't we, Mark Gray playing in the central midfield, surprisingly. And, you know, the only other natural sort of centre midfielder who would play a bit deeper is Mateo Kovacic. So yes, obviously Mateus Nunes, who was signed as a midfielder, has been playing the last season and a half at full-back. Nico O'Reilly, again, what's he? Is he a centre midfielder under the new manager, or is he going to be a full-back? Rico Lewis, again, what is he? Because if these players have been so versatile under the previous manager, you don't know what the new manager sees as their strength going forward, and that's something he's got to figure out. But if he does sign Fernandez, they've got to plug in and play person that can come in, play 6, 8, further forward if they want to as well. You know, you even mentioned like Ryan Shirky and Phil Foden, who can play 10 as well. So it gives them it covers so many areas for just signing one player. The problem is that player is going to cost way more than £100 million. It's going to be a really expensive deal to get done really late in the window as well.
Well, that's just it. Do you think the figure is almost going to be the major hurdle to get over here?
Possibly, yeah. If you look at the money they're going to potentially spend on 3 midfielders, if it happens, it's a lot of money. I know that they've lost Rodri this summer, and just one player can't fill his boots, I suppose. So they are trying. You know, they have the youth who could be there for 10 years, and then Enzo, who a little bit older, could be there to help stabilise it a little bit right now.
Yeah, maybe 3 young midfielders. Maybe adds up to half a Rodri.
Well, I mean, you sell Rodri for £60 million, and they're spending £200 million in a week to replace him. That says everything, doesn't it?
It certainly does. Right, let's turn our attention now.
Xabi, good to see you. What's the latest with Moises Caicedo and Marco Palestra? When are they likely to be available?
Not for tomorrow. Let's see. Hopefully that Moi can make it for the weekend, and maybe we need to check a little bit more with Marco.
Were there any fresh injury concerns after Monday night?
No.
Cole's absolutely fine?
Yes.
Will Mike Penders get an opportunity in goal tomorrow night?
He's in the squad, he has an opportunity. So we will decide and giving the team tomorrow to the players. So I prefer to respect that way, that they know first.
I won't ask you about every member of the squad, but do you expect Enzo Fernandez to be involved tomorrow evening?
Yes, and so we expect that he's involved, he's trained, he's training really well, he's a good professional, and he will be involved.
Would you like him to remain a Chelsea player after the transfer deadline?
We want to have the best team possible, and we know Enzo, his qualities, he has shown it, and we have to wait. But we think